Star Wars Episode 9 is set to provide tons of twists and turns and surprises by writer and director J.J. Abrams. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, one thing that a lot of fans are really looking forward to seeing in this film is, of course, exactly how J.J. Abrams is going to be able to tie the whole entire thing into the prequel trilogy era. Now, we do know that not only will it tie into the prequels, but also the originals, Star Wars Rebels, some EU and Legends material out there, as well as some of the books, novels, and video games. So this movie really is going to gravitate toward a lot of different Star Wars fans on all different mediums of this massive franchise. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art and storyboard descriptions, etc. Now, what's really interesting is that Star Wars Episode 9 will reflect on the prequel trilogy and retcon certain elements of The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith. Now, it also will actually change certain elements of the Force in this movie as well, and it's really making me wonder as to exactly what parts of the prequel trilogy will be retconned in Star Wars Episode 9. If I had to really take a major guess here as to what this all means, it could very well be excluding the whole entire concept of midichlorians into the actual Star Wars universe itself. Could be that J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio and crew are trying to actually explain the Force in a totally different way than how George Lucas explained it in The Phantom Menace. Now, if we look at everything here that Star Wars Episode 9 has going for it, not only will it actually reflect on The Last Jedi and change certain elements of that film, but it's also going to change certain elements of the prequel trilogy and retcon certain parts of those films, which honestly I think is a risky move by Disney and Lucasfilm. I think that if they go too far, it could very well run into some issues here with you know, all the continuity that we have seen over the past 8 movies so far. And if you look at Star Wars The Last Jedi, they kind of already did this with the prequel trilogy, and it seems as though that they are trying to do it again in Episode 9. You know, in Episode 8, we saw the whole concept and Luke Skywalker's philosophy on how the Jedi acted during the events of the prequels and whatnot, and now that actually made us look at the prequels in a different way if you go by Luke Skywalker's philosophy. Now, eventually, you know, of course, Luke gives in and he fights the big fight on the planet Crate, even though he's not really there and he's in the form of a Force projection. So the thing here is this: when we look at Episode 9, we do know that they have a lot of, you know, visions for this movie. They have a lot of hopes in order to make this movie stand out from both The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. You know, J.J. Abrams, you know, I gotta say, I mean, he really is quite the hardworking man right now. Coming out of The Last Jedi, I think a lot of fans need to really kind of just have a Star Wars film that is really going to cater to a lot of nostalgia and a lot of fan service as well, and a lot of revelations and twists and turns, which is something that we are getting in this movie, which is great and all. But how it's going to reflect on the prequels, that's one thing that leaves me a little concerned about what's to actually come in this movie and how we may very well perceive either Revenge of the Sith, The Phantom Menace, and of course Attack of the Clones. Now, it's also described that one of the characters in the prequel trilogy will also be looked at in a different way. Could this very well mean that we are going to be getting Anakin Skywalker and/or Obi-Wan Kenobi officially in Star Wars Episode 9? Now, J.J. Abrams, I gotta say, he has said this before in the past, that with this movie he plans on not copying any other movie in any way, shape, or form at all. So this movie isn't really going to be a beat for beat of, let's say, for example, Return of the Jedi. If you look at The Force Awakens, there were a lot of beat for beats of Star Wars A New Hope. That was the main issue that people had with Star Wars Episode 7. Now, sure, it was a very enjoyable and entertaining movie, in my eyes at least, for what it was. I mean, it was a movie that they were actually playing it safe with, you know, coming out of Disney and Lucasfilm. They were playing it safe because it was the first Star Wars movie at that point in time in 10 years since Revenge of the Sith in 2005. I think what's making a lot of people out there, including myself, very fascinated about this film is because of the mystery and kind of just wondering exactly what J.J. Abrams is going to do in order to really wrap up the entire Skywalker saga and the sequel trilogy itself alike. So this really is a huge task. You know, there is a lot at risk here. Disney and Lucasfilm have to get this movie right in in order to somewhat save the sequel trilogy for, you know, a lot of the issues that The Last Jedi had. In case you guys, you know, actually love the movie, that's perfectly fine as well. But as for me, I feel like that there does need to be some form of correction in Episode 9, and there is going to be after the Solo: A Star Wars Story box office results, and Disney actually realizing about the backlash with Episode 8. So let me know what you guys think about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No, I'm not the one. From night to moon, we hear them moans again. No.